This is the soul man, Zalon, and this is my first video slash podcast where I actually don't even know what the name of this is going to be. This is how fresh it is. This literally was inspired by a conversation. It was inspired by when I went to an event recently and I met some influencers. But before I do that, I just wanted to give you a little bit of background on myself. If you've never met me before, I'm a soul artist from the UK. Music has always been a passion of mine. My father was a big reggae artist back in the 70s, Dr. Alimantado. And when I was probably about 16, 17, I was kicked out of my group for not being a strong enough singer. My vocal trainer at the time became my manager, and he really helped me to develop my voice. And I was eventually invited back into the group, and I eventually started getting respect within the singing community and all those kind of things. What that done for me, that changed something for me internally. It made me realize that with the right information and the right support, I was able to go from one place to another place where I was able to achieve much more. My story then went on where I ended up opening my own academy. From then, I went on and started touring the world with Amy Winehouse. From then, after Amy Winehouse, we started touring around the world. She signed me to her label, gave me 15 minutes in the middle of her world tour. I featured in her album, etc., etc. When she passed away, eventually I was able to navigate my way independently, and I was able to tour around the world. Many people have seen my journey from before all of that, and they often ask me, I have many of my followers who ask me the things that I've done, any advice and that I can offer. I was always quite reluctant to do it because I've always been passionate about helping people, but I do it more on the phone. But I feel that some of the advice and some of the conversations we have both ways are really, really powerful. And I felt that it's something that I would want to watch. It's something that I'd be really interested in. And I didn't want to do anything that felt really lame. I wanted to do something that felt really organic, really authentic. So this was the motivation behind this. I don't claim to know everything, but I am passionate about educating yourself to be able to take yourself to the next level. I believe that whenever you want to achieve or to get to another stage, it starts first with the education and understanding the landscape. And so Annabel, just wanted to introduce Annabel. Annabel's a friend of mine. I've known her for many years. And she called me up recently. And what did you say, Annabel?
I just needed a little bit of direction because I am stepping back into singing for myself and performing as myself, and as you have and are still active in doing that and performing all over the world and creating campaigns. I just needed a little bit of direction and guidance because I have no bearings anymore. It's been a long time and I've been working for other people. So I knew that you were the person to speak to.
Cool. So once again, like, I don't profess to know everything. I think sometimes when we go onto a social media platform, I'm not trying to be that. I'm just literally opening up the doors to the conversations which we have behind the scenes. And if it can provide you more value, then that's really where I want to go with this. So Annabel, firstly, just what is it that is your ambitions? What is it that you are having the most challenge with currently?
So I used to sing a long, long time ago for myself and as an artist, and I was thrown into what I feel was a deep end, whereby I was surrounded by a lot of my peers who I really respected and enjoyed their music, and they have kind of worldwide renown with what they were doing, and I was involved with some projects, and I was well received as part of those projects, and I started to do my own. And I had a song that was on at the time, Mr. Jam. We're going maybe like 11 years ago. It was featured on Mr. Jam Radio 1, and basically, anytime I step foot out into my own kind of musical sphere, and someone liked what I did, it scared me, so I just started to withdraw. And I had a couple of experiences. So I worked with a producer who I was in awe of, and was also a friend. And the process of mixing, which I didn't really know much about, took a long time. And I got into a place where I started to doubt my talent and what I brought, because in my head, because it took so long to mix, it was probably because I wasn't good enough. So there were various factors that contributed to me just withdrawing. And then I withdrew from music completely, did acting, and then went back into music as a backing vocalist because I love harmonies and I love singing with people. But I noticed that I still wrote songs in that time, and I noticed that I wanted to share them. So fast forward to now, I know that I'm ready to share work that is still in process, but I don't know what the steps are. I don't have any social media for my music. I don't even have a SoundCloud. Literally any work that I get now is literally by word of mouth, or if someone's heard me and been around me, or someone that knew of my voice. It kind of works like that, but I haven't put myself out like that. I don't know how to construct this body of work, musical body of work that I want to do. I have no clue, and I'm at a place where my canvas is clean and I just need to know how to order the steps. And I want to work to a place where I do an EP launch or a music sharing night or whatever it is, where I share a body of the work that I've been doing via my songs. And that, in a nutshell, is what I want.
So, firstly, have you got recordings already, or are you yet to do the recordings?
I have half recordings, and I have half recordings, and then the rest are on my on a recorder in my phone.
Okay, but what's the objective though? What is it that you're essentially trying to achieve? So, if I was to wave my wand, what is it? What does that picture look like? Just tell me.
It looks like 2 small EPs and probably an LP. It looks like an EP launch that is creatively led by myself, both theatrically, and me consistently sharing music and also writing with people that I look up to.
Okay, cool. And what do you think is one of the biggest hindrances from you being able to do that right now? Is it confidence, or the fact that you're lost in what to do and how to do it?
Both, and I know the main thing is because there's a part of me, so I'm part-time, so there's a part of me where I'm just like, I really like what I do. I really enjoy the sounds that I make. I love what I'm writing about, and I love the whole finished product of what I record. Then the other side is just like, I'm just not bold enough. I'm part-time bold, and I'm not fearless enough to go out there, and I keep psyching myself out of even working at home. And I'm not even sure exactly what it is, because before I know it was kind of like self-imposed peer pressure. But now it's just, I'm just not being brave enough. And then the other side of it, which is me being real, is just organization.
Okay, cool. I'm just writing down some notes here. All right, so firstly, what I want to say is we are in probably one of the greatest eras ever in history. The fact that we can have a mobile phone and we can access any information and access any artist and be able to distribute a message to tens, hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of people at any instance, we have that potential of doing that. We are in the greatest era of mankind for what it is that you want to do. Before, it would cost so much money for you to achieve the things that you're trying to achieve, which is why there was this bottleneck scenario which was going on where they were choosing who to put through. Now, what the issue is we have so many people doing it, there's so much access. Your thing is, how do I stand out in the sea of people? So, number one, I've heard your voice, right? I know that your voice is of a high quality. So it's not actually the voice. Firstly, what we have to look at is about how you feel about yourself. Now, I know how that feels because when I started out, I didn't like the sound of my voice. But what happens is you have to record more so you can get comfortable more, right? So one of the first things that that I've been doing throughout my years is that I see the industry as a marathon and not a sprint, which means I'm not necessarily approaching it as it's got to just happen now, it's got to just happen now. That's not how I view music. I see it as a marathon. So what I do, I have spots where I work very, very, very hard. And then I have times where I sit back and I reflect and I'm thinking and I'm working it out, right? So I try to do a minimum of one thing each day towards my dreams and my goals. Now that is such a powerful thing because you have to imagine if, for example, you want to go from A to B, and let's say B is very far, it's like, I don't know, it's about a day away in walking, right? Some days you may walk, some days you may run, some days you may crawl, some days you may hop, some days you may jump, right? If every day you're moving towards your goal, you're getting closer to it. And that's what the concept is of doing one thing. That could be, right, I have no EP. I'm just going to write down 5 song titles for today. That's the minimum thing I'm going to do. The next day, you might say, I'm going to go through my phone and I'm going to call every single producer that I know and say, hey, I'm looking to do an EP. I wanted to see if we can work together, right? And see if we can schedule something in. So some days you'll be inspired and you'll run, which means you may do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things on your list, you know? And that's one of the things that you help to navigate yourself. Secondly, when you talk about how you're unsure about how you fluctuate between whether your project's good or whether it's not good, is that right? Did you say that?
Yes.
Yeah. So with that, what I'd advise is that you get a small set of friends that you trust their ears, that you say, hey, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but what I want to do is every month, I want to send you a couple of songs and I want you to tell me if it's a hit or a miss, if I need to kind of work on it more, or if I need to like if it's ready to go. Say, I need you to be honest with me. I'm not passionate about, once I've made the song, I'm not passionate anymore about whether it's a great song or not. I give all the love to it and then I release that emotion and then it is what it is. If it's a good song, it's a bad song, release the energy. It's because you want to know the truth about that song. You want that person.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, you want your friends to say, nah, that ain't really it. Like, it's a bit boring in the second verse. You want that honest feedback because otherwise you'll spend your time, your effort, your energy, your money on something that was always rubbish, right? You want to put that time, effort, and energy into something that you know is amazing. So it helps the project to move forward. So you want to get a small set of ears, maybe 3 people, and that is your go-to. And when you speak to them, say, hey, look, I'm probably going to need 15, 20 minutes a month and they don't have to be people who are massively huge in the industry. A lot of people think you need to go to people who are huge in the industry. But the thing is, we all live on this planet. We all have ears. We all know what we like. We all know, I like that song, I don't like that song. So somebody can be in the business, but it doesn't mean that their opinion is more important than yours because it's still an opinion. Do you understand?
Right.
So people who you trust, that they maybe like a similar artist to you, or you think that they understand about quality, get through them and just ask them to be your accountability partners. That you are, say, look, I just need 20 minutes a month where on the first of every month, I contact you and tell you what I've done the previous month, right? And you literally will play them the songs or talk through with them. Hey, I've done this so far. I've called this many people. So that accountability partner means that you are walking towards your goal. Does that make sense?
Right.
Third thing is, I would say that you set a date. So set a date when you would like to do the EP by. You see, when you set a date, what that does is, especially if you're saying, it can't move. So if you say by next year, September, I have to release 5-song EP and I have to do a show with it, right? What that does is that means that everybody, is motivated towards that deadline. So if you just leave something to someone and you say, hey man, can we get in the studio at some time? They'll be like, yeah, we'll sort it out, we'll work it out. If you say, hey, I need to finish this in a month's time. Can you do it? Yes or no? Then it's a different level of conversation. They can say, you know, realistically, I can give you 2 days a week. Or realistically, I can give you 2 days a week if you pay this much. Or realistically, as you haven't got money, I can give you 1 day a week. Or realistically, I can't do it. Then you know where you're at. So when you're setting these timelines, it's not only impacts you, but it impacts everybody else. And once again, you're speaking to the people, your accountability partners, to make sure that you're in line with your plan. Okay?
Yeah.
The next thing, my brother taught me, Ishmael was teaching me, he read a book called Eat the Frog. Eat the Frog, which is the idea of doing 3 of the biggest or the hardest tasks first, writing them down within your day and saying to yourself, if I had to do 3 tasks, which of these tasks would create the biggest impact in my life or my career or my business or whatever it is? Which 3 things could I do? And sometimes they're the boring things. There's another thing that he taught me as well. I'm just trying to give you as much value as possible. There's another thing he does. Because like, for example, myself, music is a lifestyle for me. So I've been doing music for many, many, many years. And there are times naturally, oh, your camera's gone. Okay. There are times where naturally I'm more motivated than others, especially if I'm trying to come from a very authentic space of how I feel and capturing that. Some days I may not just feel like recording, or I may not feel like being in artist mode. Maybe I just want to be more relaxed, more chilled, right? So, sorry, when you change your video, it kind of threw my thought. I'm trying. What was I saying again?
My battery. I need to go and charge it.
Okay. Cool. Now I'm going to pause this. I think I can pause this video. I'm going to pause it, and then when you come back, you continue it. Okay. Okay. Thanks for that. Annabel went to go and get her charger, and it reminded me what it was that I was going to say. So it was beneficial to both of us. So another thing that my brother Ishmael taught me as well recently after reading the book was that quite often when we're doing things or we're working on something towards our goal, we're usually having distractions around us. So we'll have like our mobile, or we'll be around people, or watching the TV. And I think he said something like the task takes maybe 2 or 3 times longer every single time that you're interrupted. So it might take you, I don't know if it adds like another 10 minutes or something, but it basically adds a considerable amount of time to the task. So the idea is you work 1 hour and 30 minutes straight, no interruptions. You get your little snacks, water beforehand. 1 hour,
30 minutes
straight on the hardest task, uninterrupted. Then you take a break, for example, 20 minutes, for example. And then you go back and do another hour and 30 minutes. What that does is if you're working on the biggest goals and you're not distracted, you're not looking at social media, you are having the highest impact for the results that you need that make the most difference. So even if you don't do lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of work, you focused in on the things that are the most important thing. So you'll be able to achieve more. Yeah? The next thing, which I've kind of shared with, I've shared with other artists. This is something which I done when I was starting out. And I think this is probably one of the most powerful things to do for up and coming artists starting out. I think that this is what I would advise. I think that everybody, when they're starting out, is super focused on mass. And I say that meaning everybody wants to jump on the biggest festivals. They want to be in front of the biggest audiences. And that's cool. And that's cool. But what I would advise is that's often very, very difficult. And the thing is, when you're doing stuff that's not within your control, it's very difficult to create the impact that you need, right? So here's my suggestion. Instead of trying to do all of that, firstly, what you do is you get a rehearsal room. And you get a rehearsal room, which is about a 50 people capacity, right? Your aim is to put on a show for 50 people. Now, I believe that you should charge everyone. I'm saying pounds because we're from the UK, but you charge everybody £10 to come in and to watch your concert. So you have £500. You should get all your expenses to come up to £300. So you know what profit feels like, right? That might mean that you have a band and you ask them, hey, I need you to do me a favor, blah, 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 pull in those favors, do all that kind of stuff. The 50 people that you are getting down to come to your show, your aim is to say, okay, so I am going to get certain family members to come down, and I say, Mum, can you bring 2 friends from work? Dad, can you bring 2 friends from work? You go to your school friends. You go to, 3 of your school friends, 3 of your families, 3 of your work friends, right? And they all bring in 2 or 3 people each that you're saying, listen, I just need you to come down just to come and see that show. The reason why you're doing that is because that's more achievable. Not only that, you control your environment. When you control your environment, you can give great value to that audience. If you provide a great quality show, those people are going to want to come back and they're going to want to tell more people about it, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of you trying like, oh, I'm trying to get to like a big 500 capacity, or you're jumping and supporting somebody else and then they give you like a really rubbish little slot that doesn't really work with your brand. I'm not saying don't do that. If that option's available and you can do that, but you can't sit around waiting. Now, you see, here's where the power is. What you do at the show is you live stream it. Everybody has a mobile phone. You live stream the show so everybody more than that room can have access to the fact that you're having a show. Now, recently, over the last, say, 2 years, I've become a boxing fan. And I thought about the psychology behind how did I become a paying customer of boxing? Like, how did this thing happen? Whereas 3 years ago, I didn't even think of boxing. But what I first thought of how I discovered it. Firstly, I saw some content of 2 boxers. One's called Dylan White and one's called Anthony Joshua. Mm-hmm. I saw viral clips going around of people sharing Anthony Joshua knocking down Dylan White. Okay. So I was like, what is this? So I just got a little clip that was circulating. I was like, what is this? What is this? What is this? So what I done is I went back to see the fight. And I also went back to see the lead up to the fight as to why people were so passionate about sharing this thing. They had a very volatile lead up to the fight. They were like arch enemies. They had fought in the past and they were arch enemies. And it was quite an aggressive lead leading up to the fight. But what boxing does very cleverly is they intermittently create events leading up to the fight and after. So, firstly, we have Dylan White, and the interviewer will interview Dylan White separately. He'll interview Anthony Joshua, and they'll say, I don't mind. I'll fight Anthony. I'll fight him. He's nothing. I can beat him. Your mom's a dickhead. Yeah. They're both doing that back and forth. Then you have their trainers. Then you have the promoters. Then you have other boxers. Then you have other people in the industry. Then you have fans. Each of them talking about the potential of these 2 fighting. The next step is they announce the fight. Then everyone talks about the fact that it's announced and the day and who they think's going to win. And there's this prediction of who they think's going to win. Then they will have a press conference. They will you'll have the press conference, they'll film the press conference, then they'll take them aside and interview them afterwards on what they thought about the press conference. And then they keep on reiterating how they think they're going to beat the person and in what strategy and skill they're going to use to beat their opponent. Then you have, I think it's the red table talk, where they sit in front of each other and they talk and they kind of, they say why I'm going to beat you, because you didn't beat this person beat you. So they have that. Now we haven't reached the fight yet.
Yeah.
Then they have the weigh-in, right? The weigh-in. I think they also have another kind of talk the night before. They do something the night before where all the fans come down. They do some weigh-in thing or something like that. They also do, there's another day where they get in the ring, they do some open training. They're punching in the bags and all the pressure around the ring and just seeing how they're punching the bags and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Then you have the fight. I remember at each of these stages, both of the fighters, their trainers, the other boxers, the people in the boxing academy, all of them are commenting about it at each stage. Then you get to the fight.
Yeah.
After the fight, all of those people make commentary about the event that happened and what they thought about it. Okay? And then they start talking about, well, who's next? Who can you fight? What's going to happen? You won, so where's it going to go next? And that's how they built up the momentum. And now I've become an actual paying customer, where when certain fights are on, I now, because they've led me through the journey. They didn't say, hey, here's a fight. I'll be like, I don't care. I'm not going to watch it. They led me through the journey. And I became emotional as they was documenting the processes. Does that make sense? So we have to flip that now and see ourselves as artists. And we have to say, when we're trying to release a song, no one don't really care. No one doesn't really care. Okay, yeah, I just randomly released a song. So you are doing this concept of this intimate 50 people, right? Number one, if you outsell the concert, that's a great thing. No one ever thinks, when you say sold out, we don't care if you've got 51 people of a 50 capacity, you've sold out. No more people can fit your requirements. You know, sold out sounds good no matter what size it is. Do you understand? So if you've got 70 people that wants to come to your 50 people event and you're sold out, you're just sold out. That adds more value to you, you know?
Yeah.
So, so the next thing is with artists, people want to see the journey. They want to see this conversation. And then they want to see how you execute that along the way. And you're making references. Yep. So I had discussion with Zalon. And so right now, I'm now organizing myself like this. These are the 3 things that I'm working on today. I've done this. Here's my 3 accountability partners. I've done this. Okay, I've booked the venue now. Okay, I've got my musicians. Okay, we're working on it. Here's rehearsals. Okay, here's the thing. This is the sync. We're in the studio. This is it. This is it being mixed. It's the journey. And people will fall in love with the journey. So by the time it comes to you announcing, hey, I want to have a show, they've been a part of it. And they've been going on a journey that they're more inclined to want to come to that show because they've joined on the journey.
Wow. Okay. Sounds legit to me.
So,
yeah,
no, it's a pleasure. What else is it that what other things do you have that you're unsure of?
Man, I don't know what socials to use. Like I know Instagram is a thing, SoundCloud, and obviously Twitter. No Trump. And then I guess it's a live band because I know that now Ableton means that you don't need to have a Mac to do stuff. Because as it works now, it's like anything I do at home, you know, Mishak will record me, but I do want to make sure I can do stuff. Like if I'm working and I do a mini tour somewhere working with another artist, that's when I write as well. When I'm on a tour bus, you know, if I'm on a plane, I write and I'll voice note everything. Like I'll literally like vocalize all the parts because I tend to get like when I get songs, the melody normally like is playing in my head, so I'll record down the parts so I can get as close to the sounds when I get home when Mishak does it. So it's just recording, it's getting a band, knowing what socials to use, and I guess you've covered, you know, getting people like people that I respect and like have similar music interests to me, hearing the music that I'm making. So there's that. But yeah, those are the things. So just to bullet point, it is getting the production done, getting a live band together, and learning to produce where I can, so I can at least record dub my vocals whilst I'm on the go.
Okay. So you asked about social media, what social medias to have. You
Yeah, for
spoke
music.
about who, like producers, the kind of producers, and also getting a band. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is your sound live band orientated, like, or is it more produced or a mixture of both?
Mixture of both for sure.
Right. So essentially, what you would need is musicians to come in and to play on the record, right?
It's more of a thing. The way I see it is, the stuff can be manipulated production wise, but live, I want that production sound to be recreated and changed.
Cool. Right. So what I would suggest to you is, regarding the band, forget
Yeah.
about that for now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Forget about, I mean, what you will need musicians for the studio, but forget about the live band. That's not something that you need to worry at this point, because we're not there yet. And what happens
Right.
is, when you carry the extra load of something that's so far down the road, you don't want it to hinder your progress. So don't worry, just
Right.
get the band out of your mind. When
Yeah.
it's time for a band, we think about that. Okay. Right now, we're going to look at the music, right? Songs.
Yeah.
The first thing I would do is I would focus on trying to write the best songs possible. So if you could sit down with a guitarist or a keyboard player and just write a great songs. I would, if you're going to do an EP, I would write maybe anywhere from 10 to 15 songs. And I would even go back into all of the songs I've ever created, and I would maybe write them all down and select the best songs, you know, the EP of 5 songs. I'll select the best songs. And then literally I would send a message out to everybody who I know within music, and I would say, hey, I'm looking for a producer. And then you say to them, you know, you can either say, I've got a small budget, or I have a budget, or you can say, I haven't got a budget, but let's work something out. So the next step is I think it's better when you go with a song, because number one, you own the copyright of it. If it doesn't work and you're not happy, you can just take your song. You take what you brought
Right.
in, which is the quality of, which is the song, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes if you're working with people and you're working it out, and you go to them and you're working it out, and then you haven't got things in place properly, then they also have a claim on that song, and then you're stuck and you're back in the same position. So if you go
Right.
there with the song, then you can say, all right, this isn't working, or it is working, let's work it out, you know? So that's what I would say. I would say to go down to the singers' open mic nights, connect with them, find out who produces them, you know, just be open with people and just say, hey man, I've been recording quite a bit and I'm looking for producers. Who do you use? Are they good? I would love to get in contact with them. You know, there'll be people who will be cagey. There'll be people who won't help you, but there'll be people who also will. There'll be some
Right.
people who be, you know, you have to see it also. There's producers out there who are in their bedroom now, hoping, dying to meet someone like you who has a voice and can get working, because they're also trying to get their name out. So they're like, I also need a singer, and maybe the singers they have aren't as advanced as you. They're not as
Right.
developed as you as well.
Yeah.
So that's what I would suggest to do, is calling around people and going to like open mic spots.
Okay.
Yeah. The next thing that you said was social media.
Yeah. Which socials to promote the
Okay,
music?
it's a really good question. Essentially, we have to look at the case study of MySpace to really understand that no social media really is safe, because trends are consistently changing. You know,
Mm.
everybody was on MySpace. After MySpace left, then many people lost lost careers. You know, they lost so many followers. They lost the attention. Attention
Right.
is forever shifting. So essentially, you have to see it like streams. The aim really is to drive people on your own mailing list. That's what the social media platform is. So you want to be on all of them. Maybe you might be on a few of them. Right now, you might say, I'm going to be on Facebook, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, right? That's what you might say initially, but that's what's hot now. Maybe someone may be viewing this video in like 2 years' time, and it might be something else. You see, Snapchat came out, and Snapchat literally was taking a portion of the followers of Instagram. And basically, the revenue of that company was going up exponentially. And then Facebook literally just done...
No.
They tried to buy it, and Snapchat said no. So they just done a similar feature, right? Where they just done a similar feature. So now people are like, do I need to go to Snapchat because I've got it here?
Yeah.
So like things are always shifting. It doesn't mean that Snapchat's not going to come back with something else and be able to dominate. So I would say that is to understand what the aim is. The aim is to really build value, to bring value to people. It's not really, social media is not really about selling. It's about communicating. It's about connecting. It's about bringing value. Like even this here, I'm a singer, right? But this is just me bringing value to people. And then maybe some of them will look and say, I really felt like this was of value. Let me go and just check out his stuff. Let me go, maybe they will. And there'll be a large portion of people who won't. And that's okay too. I just added more value to the world, or we did collectively. So yeah, that's that. I said, yeah, that's that really.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's all really powerful stuff you just shared. So thank you. I feel like I've got more than my answer, and
Cool.
that's actually exactly what I wanted, because it's just a framework, and it just like, it feels so kind of like, apart from the thing like feeling daunting, it's daunting. Like it's just like, oh, okay, this is different. Like my stuff on. I remember I was on MySpace, and a gospel singer who I looked up to for his creativity by the name of Tanae, his name is B Slade now. He like contacted, he sent me a DM, and I like messaged him to make sure like I wasn't being catfish. This is before catfish was a thing. And it was like, I had a following on there. So I was definitely one of those that I feel like I took a hit. Because every so often, like someone will message me out of the ether and be like, oh, are you the Annabel that did da 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 da? And it's like, oh gosh, it feels so far away now. But like me doing the music, just to say right now, is more about the fact that I need to get it out of here and here. And less about like acclaim. I'm not trying to win the Grammy. I just want to tell my stories, my musical stories. But I know that packaging is important. Do you know what I mean? It's like that saying, and I know it's so cheesy, but like if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? It's like that thing, and that's exactly why I feel like I want to share my stories with people, and I want people to listen to it. I don't want to be talking into like thin air.
Yeah.
So that's what it is, and I know like I say, like I really look up to you because you are doing this, like you're consistent, and one thing that I am striving for in my life is consistency, because I am consistently inconsistent, and that's not good enough for me. So I didn't want that to spill into my music life.
Well, thank you for that, because I do feel like I could work harder, but what I do, like I said, is I'm consistent. I do at least one thing per day towards my goal or dream. So what people feel are like, Zalon, you like, many people say you work so hard. I'm like, I don't know if I work so hard, but I work consistently hard. I work hard at being consistent and doing at least one thing. So, but I won't go 3 days without doing at least something. I try to do at least one thing. And if something happens and you miss a day, the next day you just got to pick it up. You got to do something, no matter how small. Make that phone call, So Yeah, I also wanted to say thank you because I know you're apprehensive about having this talk. I think, but thank you
This is
because
water, by the way, and orange juice. I just want to say that.
no, but thank you because I feel that I'd like to think that this can provide so much value, not just for us, but for many people as well, because I feel that many people are going through the same things. We're all going through the same things. And I feel that through us creating these type of conversation, we all learn. People are going to chip in and say, hey, what about this? Or you're wrong about that. How about this? Or, they're going to say those things. So I don't even know what the name of this show is going to be. But I really like the format. It's really relaxed and casual. People can listen to it on a podcast as they're traveling
Yeah.
around or going for a long drive, or they can watch the video. And I think that I think it's a really, really cool idea, and I want to explore it some more. I'd also like to invite you back on the show as well, so that us as a community can be your accountability partner. You are the first person. What do you think we should call the show?
Accountability builders.
Okay, I'll put it in the pot.
Yeah, we'll definitely put it in. I love that answer. Yeah, let's put it in the pot. Can I take that?
It's
Will
yours.
you trademark that? Let's put that in the pot. I love that you didn't say no. I don't know. Something, I don't know. Do you know what? I don't know.
All right.
Well,
Well,
like, as time goes on,
yeah,
I think
exactly.
because I'm part of your kind of extended village, so there's enough people, innovative people in there to come up with a name.
Yeah,
Me.
like see for me, part of the motivation behind this is because I often think about things, but I can procrastinate and not do it in the moment. So for me, this exercise here was me stepping outside of my comfort zone of procrastination, of just
Oh,
being.
really?
Yeah, no, because I have so much great ideas, and I'm like, yeah, it's great, I should do it. And then it's like the moment, the window goes, and then you're like, yeah, I should do it at some point. And then, yeah, I need to get round to it too. Oh yeah, I've got a new idea. So I
Yeah.
wanted to capture this now, because in capturing it now, we now have something. We now have something that we can look at. So for me, this is why I wanted to capture this as well, and that's was like one of my motivations for doing this, and I really like it, and it's something I'd like to do more.
And I'm excited to come back.
Thank
with
you.
a new outfit and tell you.
Cool. But you know what though? When are you
How
going
I
to come
feel.
back? When are you going to come back?
When?
Yeah. Because it's 2019 can't pass and you haven't got 5 songs and doing this show. So you have to say to yourself, at what point in 2019 can I do this?
Well, I think January. I would love to.
No. I mean, oh no, so you're going to have the EP. Okay, you want to come back in January?
I want to come back in January to kind of like just to discuss. Well, not to just to share the progress because, well, I am booked and busy for December. Like I am booked
Sure.
and busy,
Hey.
and as I'm sure you are, and January is always kind of like a dry month.
Yeah.
For musicians. But in fact, I'm just calling it in that January won't. But you know what? I like January. I like January to reflect on the past year and the year to come. So I'm never really that worried about that. So that will be a time where I get my head down. So maybe end of January.
Cool. When are you going to release this EP? And when are you going to
I'm
do
saying May.
Okay. Good.
End of May.
Great. Have you got songs already?
I have. Yeah.
Cool. That's brilliant. You know what I would suggest is put it up on your wall.
On what wall?
On your bedroom wall, or your bath, or on your window.
Oh, a vision board.
Yeah. So that it's I want it to be present in your mind that every time you wake up, every time you go to bed, you see what it is you're trying to achieve.
Right.
Because sometimes the fact that it's out of sight, it then becomes out of mind.
Out of
and when
mind,
it's present,
yeah.
it means that every time you're like, oh yeah, I need to do that, man. Let me make that call. I need to do that, man. And let me pay for that thing. Let me, it's like reminders,
Yeah, that's so okay. Because what my habit when I realized, because I took a hiatus of just using Instagram, in the middle of this year, and it was great. And what I started doing, instead of looking at people's lives on Instagram, I started building my own on Pinterest. So I've got different boards, and then recently I took like pictures of things that I want to do, and I'm trying to put it as my screensaver, but I haven't figured out how to, on an iPhone, how to get, you know, you've got, when you swipe, you've got one page and then another. I can't remember. I don't know if that's a feature anymore.
Right. Okay.
So,
well, you know what? In the meantime,
yeah.
like, so just Google it. Go on YouTube and Google it. And if you can't find it, just print it off and put it on your, just print it off and put it on your wall. Maybe do both, just so it's present in mind. Tell Mishak, so that he also is your first accountability partner. Say, look, babe, I'm hoping to release this album by May, and I need your support. You know, start telling people, hey man, like every time, you know, your conversation, yeah, because I'm going to be releasing the thing in May and I'm going to do a show and I'd love to get you to come down. I'm just working it all out. I'm stepping out. It's the biggest thing I've ever done so far. And I want to make it a real intimate, but I want to make it really good. You just start creating that conversation now. So by the time it gets to it, they're like, oh yeah, you told me. Yeah. You know?
Right.
And for people at home, if you feel like it's going to be, and here's another extra tip, if you feel like it's going to be a little bit of a pull to get people to come out and do that thing, do it on your birthday. So the day of your
My
birthday.
birthday is in May.
Right. So what you're doing is you're telling people, for my birthday, right, instead of buying me a drink or buying me a present, just buy a ticket to come and watch me live. And so, like, in a way, I know it may feel like people are obligated and blah, blah, blah. Like, this is important to you. And what would make you more happy is being able to do the thing that you love most in front of the people that you love most, right?
Right.
So it's like, hey, can you guys, I just want one wish, is that you come on my birthday and you guys just support me on this day. But it's your job to make it a great show. It's not their job to have a good time. It's your job to create a good show. Right? So I think, unless there's something else you wanted to add, I think we will wrap this up for today. Yeah. I want to say thank you so much for coming in. Can you say your name and where people can find you?
My name is Annabel, and you can find me on Instagram at It's Annabel Spoon.
You want to spell that?
That's ITSANNABEL. Spoon as in the utensil, which is SPOON, and I'm on Twitter under the same handle.
Awesome. My name is Zalon. You can put Google and any social media and mine will come up. It's usually either Zalon or Zalon Music. All of my hashtags and all of my social media handles, you can find me. My website is zalononline.com. I am a soul artist. I travel all around the world and I bring soul music to the people. I've been doing this for the last couple of years, and it's one of the greatest feels on earth to be able to perform for people. It's everything that I've wanted to do since I've been a little child. And I'm also very passionate about helping people, because I was helped in order for me to do these things as well. So being able to do a podcast like this is a very, very, very exciting, or even like a video show is very exciting to me. And let's see where this journey goes. So thank you guys so much for listening. And thank you, Annabel, also for joining me on this special and the first one. So when you're getting your Grammy, you better give us a shout out, yeah?
Thank you so much for your time. Really, really, really appreciate it. Really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Sending you lots of love to you and the family.
Lots of love to you too.
All right.
Thanks,
Cool.
Zalon.
Take care. Ciao.